Hey everyone, it's Andy here from Saving to Invest. And today I want to talk about the third stimulus check payment that started being distributed over the last week. But like the last two stimulus payments, many people are not getting the dependent $1,400 payment as well. So in this video, I want to quickly look at this payment, what's causing this issue, and what you can do if you haven't got the payment. As always, if you find the information here useful, please hit the like button and subscribe to keep getting videos like this if you're new to the channel. I'll post links to a detailed article on this topic so you can find more information and over 500 comments that people have seen. But hopefully, you find the information here helpful and at least gives you an update on where your dependent stimulus check could be. So, just to recap a little bit what the dependent stimulus check is. So, it was funded under the Biden ARP, the stimulus bill, the American Rescue Plan. It was $1,400 for dependents. They expanded the dependent eligibility significantly, but this is the third round of payments. The original one was 500, the next one was 600, and this is the 1,400 one. So this is the largest by far, and because of the expanded eligibility, a lot more people are going to get it. But what you can see here is it is based on, for those people who filed tax returns, it is based on their 2019 or 2020 tax return, whichever was filed later. And what Congress did to pass it was to actually reduce the maximum qualifying to get at least some of the stimulus. So if you earn below 75,000, you get the full stimulus as a single. As a head of household, it's 112,500, and if you're married, less than 150,000, you get the full stimulus. But if you go up to the upper threshold, that's when it'll start phasing out slowly. Um, so because of these title limits, less people qualify for it, and it's actually been a hard stop this time. Even if you have dependents, if you earn more than 80,000 as a single filer or as 150,000 as a married filing jointly, the dependents won't get a payment either. Obviously, for non-filers, they don't have tax returns. The IRS is using the agency data from Social Security or the Veterans Affairs, depending on where they're getting from, or they're using the last stimulus payment that was done late last year and into January. So some people, non-filers who had issues with the last two checks will probably see issues this time if they did not get paid correctly. And if most people are getting direct deposit, that is the fastest way. But if not, you're being sent a check or a debit card by the IRS. And again, like I mentioned before, the eligibility for this has been expanded to dependents over 17, so adult kids, college age kids, disabled adults, and elderly relatives. Basically, anyone you could have claimed in your tax return in 2019 or 2020 or through your other agencies is eligible for this $1,400 payment. So, as you can imagine, a lot more money, a lot more people being paid, and there's going to be issues with that. So the people have been asking, has these payments started? The answer is yes. The IRS actually started delivering payments on March 13th. March 17th is actually the official date that you should see them in the account. So some of the payments may have been provisional until approved, but now all about 90 million people, 90 million checks have been sent out by the IRS. That's probably about 65-70% of the total checks that they'll be sending out for adults and dependents. So there have been people who have got the dependent checks too, but mostly they've been these adult dependence checks. And they should, as you see from the IRS tweet, they'll get it the same way they got their regular benefits. Social Security and federal beneficiaries will get it the same way they get their current Social Security payments. And obviously those tax filers will get it the same way they put in their 2019 or 2020 tax return. Just in terms of dates, for those people who are wondering when these things are sent out, so this is just an estimated schedule I've put together, and I'll put the full article link below here. So the bill was signed into law March 11th. The IRS did a really good job to get it out by March 13th. Again, this is being done in batches. It's not just one tranche. It's going to be several batches that'll probably go till the end of April to pay out these checks. And so part of it is just normal processing. And you just because someone you know or someone in your family may have got the check, the same family could be getting another check later on. It's just not all happening at once. So don't be shocked if you haven't seen it yet. But over the next few weeks, you should start seeing those checks sent out. And then those who chose to get mail checks or debit cards, or because they couldn't get a direct deposit, IRS will slowly start paying these from next week, March 21st, and that'll happen in batches, 4 to 6 weeks to get checks and mail payments. But I know that that can happen faster, like the second stimulus check for some people. And of course, the Get My Payment tool, which is the IRS official tool, that's where you can go and check the status of where your payment, if it's being processed or if it's in process, and you'll get the last 4 digits of where it was sent to if it was direct deposit. And then I'm expecting that the normal processing would likely finish by the end of April. So that means after that point, you should probably have to call the IRS, or at worst case, you'll have to probably claim this in your 2021 tax return as a recovery rebate credit. So again, to reiterate, the IRS has come out and said if you haven't got paid yet, this was done a few days ago, there's no reason to worry. The $1,400 is happening in batches, and if you see the payment status not available on the Get My Payment tool, it just means it hasn't been processed yet. It does not mean you're not eligible or that you won't be getting the payment. It just means it hasn't gone into processing, and then it goes into payment shortly after that, like your refund. So don't be concerned right now. It's going to take a little bit of time, and especially if you have dependents who were not getting it previously, those college-age kids above 17, elderly parents, it'll take some time for IRS to update their systems to make sure payments are sent out correctly. The one issue that has come up with stimulus checks, this is a known issue with previous ones, is that when you go check the Get My Payment tool, it shows a different, the last four digits are different to the bank account that you expect. This is mainly due to people who use tax filing packages. In some cases, if they were getting an advance refund or a loan, it used the default bank account of the tax software provider, so it's caused some issues. This is being fixed. It's a known issue. Either it's fixed through the data fix, or what the IRS is doing is sending mail checks or debit cards to those people who they can't get the right direct deposit for. Your money is not gone. It'll get fixed. It'll just take a bit longer. So these are some of the reasons that the stimulus checks are, delayed. But there is definitely a trend I've seen, like the previous stimulus checks, where dependent checks are delayed. I think it's a fact, and a lot of people, you'll see the comments on this video. You'll see comments also on the article I'll put here, which has a lot more discussion about this and previous checks, that there are delays. So why is this happening? So here's my reasoning, the top three which I'm seeing, which are based on my research and the comments I'm hearing from other people and having covered this for over a year. One is the new income limits have meant a lot of people who thought they qualify, who did qualify for the first two stimulus checks, this year don't. And because especially the upper income limit, which is now much lower, a lot of people have just dropped out of even getting any of the partial stimulus check. And especially if they had dependents, they actually had a phased increase of their income limit. So if they had two dependents, they actually would have almost another 40,000 added to their top limit. So they got the full stimulus checks. This time it's a hard stop. That income limit is the income limit, no matter how many dependents you have. So that's actually meant a lot of people have fallen out. The other one is eligibility criteria. Because a lot more dependents are eligible right now, 17-year-olds, elderly parents, disabled adults, those are claimed on tax returns, and sometimes these dependents could be claimed in multiple returns. They could be filing their own returns, so it causes issues. And because the eligibility criteria is a bit harder to establish, those people are now getting delayed because the IRS has to do some manual processing. You may have to file in the future to get those payments. But those are, I think, the two biggest reasons you could be seeing some near-term delays. The other one, which I covered in the other slide, was the third stimulus payment is being done in batches. So a lot of people, especially adults, have got their checks already, but their dependent kids haven't. And I'm finding that for those who actually have filed 2020 tax returns and IRS is using that data, they're finding there more delays because that data probably hasn't gone into the programs for the stimulus payments. So those are people actually seeing more delays. And especially for the dependents, I'm seeing a lot of people say, we got our adult check, haven't seen our dependent kids. Whereas people who said they haven't filed the 2020 return are seeing both the adult and dependent check. So it is a trend that I'm seeing, but don't be shocked if your dependent check comes later and may even come by mail because the IRS has to go do some manual processing over there. And of course, you can always go and claim your stimulus, your dependent payment, or even your missing stimulus payments through your next year's tax return. Or if you haven't filed this year, you can try doing it through that for your previous two. The third one will have to be done next year because that's considered to be a 2021 advanced credit. The last one, which may have happened why your check is delayed and you may actually never get it, is it's actually because someone else claimed the dependent, or they were not in your latest tax return. Maybe you had a child last year, you didn't have the social security number, which you need to have. So someone else claimed it, or it wasn't. The IRS doesn't exist in your mind. They don't exist in the IRS systems in your mind. So the claim by someone else is when you have an ex-spouse, or especially for adults, claimed by someone else. Elderly relatives could be claimed by multiple siblings or kids. That's when you start missing out on your stimulus check. So if you claim them successfully and your return was processed in 2020 with that dependent, you will get the payment. But if you, for example, had your brother or sister and they had a parent and they claimed that person in their tax return and you didn't, you won't get that stimulus check. And it's only the claiming adult that gets the stimulus check, not the dependent. So that is something that is causing a lot of delays. And those, unfortunately, are how the rules will work. So if someone else gets the check and they claim them, they'll get it. You won't even be able to get it. And then, of course, if it's not in the latest tax return, 2019 or 2020, if you had a child last year but haven't filed your 2020 return, the IRS won't know that you have a dependent. So you'll either have to file this year or you'll have to claim it in 2021 to get the stimulus check. So those are some of the reasons. There are other reasons out there with error, missing information and errors, but like the previous two stimulus check programs, eventually it'll be caught up. The IRS is processing stimulus checks all the way through 2021, not just for the next few months. So they will eventually catch up. The Biden administration is going to launch a new tool for non-filers to update dependent data, potentially also people who think they've missed out or who didn't even realize they were eligible for it. And I'll post a link to that new tool that's potentially coming out. So they eventually will catch up. It's actually a mandate by the Biden administration to make sure everyone gets the stimulus check they deserve. If you have got any other reasons that your stimulus check was missing, let me know. Leave a comment in the section below, and hopefully this information was helpful to you. Always hit the like button and subscribe to get the latest updates. Thanks again. Bye.